What is up, everyone? This is TangrowthTV. I am Zach, and this is a very roughly done Season 5 draft summary for your Kentucky Crobats. I usually do a lot fancier things, put up some notes, put up stats, and do a nice little page, but this season I don't have a lot of time, free time between school right now and just life. So I'm going to try to make this short, sweet, and to the point. What I drafted, why I drafted it, where I drafted it, and how it works within the team. So first up is Blastoise, and when I say Blastoise, I mean regular Blastoise, not Mega Blastoise. I took regular Blastoise in the first round. I did so because recently the league voted to take Blastoise down to Tier 3, which I personally believe is a dumb decision, but it gave me the best, and instantly became the best Tier 3 overall Mon in general, not looking at like specific roles or anything like that, because it does several things. Bulky Water is fantastic. It only has two weaknesses that you can work around pretty well. It gives you a Rapid Spinner, and it gives you Scald Spam. It also can cure status on itself. It doesn't have reliable healing, but you can run leftovers. I've run Rain Dish, Rain Dance in the past, and it's worked out pretty well with leftovers. So I've made Blastoise work in this type of situation, and it's worked out pretty well as far as making it sustain. So and it made it work. This team worked way better than uh, the other form of this team, and you'll see it. My TCL team, it's very similar to that, just because taking him so early kind of threw a wrench in the plans of people, and I don't know if they might have been looking at similar things to me, but getting Blastoise early when I know he was being looked at as a Mega in the first round and regular Blastoise in the second round was nice because I was able to get a key piece to my team. The reason he's a key piece is because I love, this is my favorite 3-mon core in the game. First, Blastoise. Next, in the second round, I took Victini. Victini is just absolutely amazing. I love Victini. It can break walls. It can just be give it Scarf Max speed, and it's still going to hurt a lot with V Create. Obviously, you can give it band. You can go. I like bulky offense, so you could go AV Victini. It obviously is weak to ground and rock, which are very pretty common. It's got a lot of good or bad bad weaknesses. I say good weaknesses. I meant for like those attacking it. But my team and how it's structured really benefits Victini, and so I could bring a pivot like a bulky pivoting Victini if I needed to. But it's a good fire type. It's an amazing fire type, one of the best fire types in my opinion, and it just is an absolute animal, and it gives me a fire pivot into uh, anything that like ice attacks to my grass type we'll mention later, or into the oh god, into the fighting hits, which will come into a mon I'll mention later. So it gives me and the ice hits to it 2 mons later actually, but it just gives me a lot of switch-ins that where Victini is bulkier than your normal wall breaker, bulkier and or faster than your normal wall breaker, gives me a switch in to set up for some pain to be dropped. And it worked very well for me. Up next, though, in the third round, this mon wasn't the target. It was a impulse pick because I didn't really know what mega I wanted going into this draft. It was it was up in the air. I just knew I wanted Blastoise, Victini, and you guys know the grass type if you watch my TCL videos. But I decided to risk the grass type, hold off, and I took Mega Agron with my third pick just because it also worked well with what I had in mind as far as the core, and it fits my playstyle very well in that it is an absolute animal when it comes to uh, hurting things. So basically, uh, there's not much I fear to bop this thing with my team around it. If I build well and play well, this thing's going to be unstoppable. So I was able to pick him up as my tier 2 mega So my tier twos, this was my first tier two pick. Blastoise is a tier three, Victini is a tier one. So basically, you guys know how Mega Agron works. It's just a big fat defensive wall, and it'll either be like Stealth Rock coverage, or it'll be like Rest Curse, whatever, or it can just literally be like, go ahead and try and break me while I break you. So it depends on how I want to use it, and it was a nice luxury pick. I had I had three huge luxury picks that I didn't know what I wanted, and something amazing fell to me. And Mega Agron's the first one of those. Up next is our first tier two pick, and we got the grass type that I wanted, Shaymin. That sprite is looking very large. But we picked up Shaymin, and Shaymin just people. I always see it run offensively because of Seed Flare, and it's just generally great coverage. But people sleep on this thing defensively. This thing is one of the best walls I've ever used in my entire life. People just cannot break this thing, and it's just I put it to amazing use in the matches I play with it as a wall. In regular format, like in going on showdown and laddering, it's not that great of a wall, just because you have to be able to target something for Shaymin to wall that maybe something else on your team can't. And so, without spoiling anything, uh, actually I'm not going to spoil anything. I've used it effectively on something I didn't think I had anything for. So that is why Shaymin is my hero, and completes the Firewater Grass core with Blastoise, Victini, and him to make something very deadly. Up next, I wanted Jolteon here, but Jolteon got taken by Cap, so we ended up with a former Crobat Mon, and that is Thunderous Incarnate. And this thing's just good. I've used it several different ways: Standard Scarf, Life Orbed, sub Nasty Plot, just sub. It's definitely something that you have to prep, and of course you can't beat Prankster T-Wave and Prankster Sub, are both, like I said, are both very very good. I just wanted with this pick I was looking for a fast electric type to Volt Switch with, and Jolteon got taken, so I preferred Thunderous's utility over Raikou in general. So that's why we hit Thunderous. Up next is some more speed and more pivoting. It is Greninja. Greninja is something that has been, I don't want to say underperforming, but I mean, okay, it has been underperforming, but just hasn't been able to break through the league format barrier from what I've seen. So I'm hoping I'm able to break that. In the TCL, this team comp that I used, the Shaymin Victini Blastoise core with a Registeel, had Dark Water Spam in the form of Sharpedo. So I could have taken Sharpedo, easily could have taken Sharpedo, but I wanted to try something different, and I wanted to get more hazards. So this lets me get priority, it lets me get spikes and toxic spikes, a taunt user with base 122 speed, and it's got very good coverage. It can be both physical and special, and it's definitely a very versatile mon, and I just have to basically use it as a Swiss Army knife when 5 other mons can't cover. Like if my 5 other mons can cover 10 mons, then this needs to cover like the last 2 or 3 pretty effectively. I forgot how many we have how many mons are on a roster. I think it's 3, 6, 9. It's 12. It's 12. So Greninja, and it's not Protean. It is Torrent, so I cannot use Protean on Greninja. But it's generally great coverage, very fast. It's the fastest mon on my team. But I went for a mix of bulk and speed, so I could run flat out stall, but I could also run a hyper fast offense depending on the mons I brought. With the team I've got constructed, I can bring a full team of 6 mons with over 100 speed, or with at or over 100 speed. So that was something that last season I had some problems with. I only had 2 mons faster than 100, and they were both 108, so they only were there to beat base 100s. Now I have 3 mons that are over base 100, and 3 mons that are at no. Ooh, wait. One, two. I have 4 mons past base 100 and 2 mons that hit base 100. So it was definitely nice. And speaking of which, this is the second huge luxury pick I was talking about. Did not know I won for my last tier 1. I already have Victini and Thunderous, and then Garchomp. What? Garchomp fell to the 7th round. Actually, I don't know if I took Garchomp in the 6th or 7th round. I can't remember. The order might not be exact. I don't remember off the top of my head. But I was like, I've been dying to use Garchomp. The first season in the RBL, he was going to be my first round pick, followed by Registeel. And Garchomp went round 1, number 1 overall, and then round 2, number 1 overall, went Registeel. So I did not get to use him. And then just it hasn't worked. My team comps that I've been looking to build haven't really worked out with the Garchomp. So, but he was here. I I had Stealth Rocks on Agron and Hazards on Greninja, but like that's limiting. So I was able to get Garchomp, and I was able to bring uh, or get another Stealth Rock user, as well as Dragon Spam, Ground Spam on Scarf Chomp, or I could run Swords Dance, Lum. You know everything Garchomp can do. It can do anything. Rocky Helmet, Rough Skin. Um, so it was amazing getting Garchomp this late in the draft as my final tier 1. I was willing to go all the way to the end of the draft to look at tier 1s just to see. Up next, we go back to the more less offensive, more stally type mons. We picked up Dusclops just because ghost types for spin blocking are nice, and this is probably the best defensive ghost type in my opinion. It can definitely put in the work. It has very good coverage, as most ghost types do. Its only real drawback is that it can't hit hard, but it has Nightshade, I believe, to act as a seismic toss. But mainly, and more importantly, it gets knockoff, gets Will-O-Wisp, and Frisk. Frisk is one of my favorite abilities in League format because you can see items, and it's better on defensive mons. Noivern is an example of a mon that has it, but it's more offensive. So with Dusclops, I can really switch it in on a lot of things and get a clear item access to what item they're using without worrying about me getting like one-shotted. So that's why I brought him. And plus, at this point, as you can see, I didn't have like something that I could be like, you are here to absolutely 100% just shut down this mon or that mon. Shaymin can do it, but obviously it's like, okay, Shaymin, take a Fire Blast from whatever. Even if I'm specially defensive Shaymin, I can't do that. So Dusclops can at least take 2 Fire Blasts and live if invested correctly from anything. And so it's important to be able to have a mon that can just do that. So up next, though, and he is a tier 3. He's a tier 3. And our final tier 3 pick is Soncino, the mon that I've wanted to use so often and never have gotten. I've been sniped 3 straight drafts, and I almost copied Cap's tier 3 slash RUs from last season where he took Braviary Soncino, but I took another flying type. Soncino is here for skill link. The question is what item. You know that you even know like the variation of the set you run on this thing. Just the question is what item. Like there's 5 moves you run on this thing, and then it's either Choice Band, Life Orb, or Scarfed, depending on the other team. And there's just it's just a pain in the ass. It's hard to prep for. You just have to have the right type of mon, and really the only mon that beats it are, I would say, steel types. If it's running knockoff, ghost types have some trouble with it. They don't get bodied by it, but they can't just wall it. Rock types and ground types, there's bullet seed, and so yeah, so it's pretty much just steel types that beat it. And I already have one of the best steel type defensive steel types, so really the only thing I need to worry about is Skarm and Registeel on to face Soncino off the top of my head, and nothing else would really be that terrifying for me to deal with. But I have obviously Thunderous for Skarm. I have like every Victini for everything. I have ways to deal with other steel types pretty effectively. This draft was pretty much based around my core three mons that I mentioned. Everything else, like I said, I knew I wanted some speed, more speed than I usually have, and I wanted the ability to pivot out, or not. I say pivot because it's pivoting means one thing to some people, one thing to others. For me, it means I use it both. Like I'm able to pivot with my wall, like double switching and stuff. But I'm talking about initiative switching, you predicting switch outs and whatnot with U-turn and Volt Switch. Now with the team I've showed you so far, I have three mons that can have access to Volt Turn, and that would be Greninja, Thunderous, and Soncino. So I'm able to, hopefully we'll be able to pull the Alex Louis Bavarian Beedrill style of keeping you on your toes at some point this season. But like as everyone knows, I'm more of a bulky offense type, wear you down then clean you up late type of guy. But yeah, Soncino, pretty straightforward. It is here to be fast and annoying. Up next is the other flying type I mentioned. It is my extra pick. It's not a wild card pick. I don't know what to call it. And we picked up Fat Bat, the Golbat, and it was just I need more hazard removal. I wanted Crobat, couldn't get Crobat, but it gives me flying spam. It's not strong flying spam, but it gives me flying spam, and gives me defog. And it gives me another taunt. It gives me Super Fang, which I like. Super Fang's a decent move. Yeah, so it's nice. It's nice, and not much else to say about it. I can definitely try some interesting sets with it, but overall, I love me the Crobat Golbat Zubat line, but obviously this is more of a defensive, like going into the stalling pick, and less of an offensive pick. But I need more hazard removal. At this point, I only had Blastoise for rapid spinning, and that's just not good enough. So Golbat it is. Up next is a mispick by me. It's not bad by any means, but it's bad just because I didn't think one mon is available. That was my fault. I picked Crustle, perfectly fine with Crustle, but Armaldo was available, and Armaldo is better. The reason I didn't take Armaldo was because I thought he was already taken, but that was in the Flare League. We did both drafts at the same time, and I'm a dumbass and didn't confirm. But I'm fine with Crustle, because Crustle can do something else that Armaldo can't, that's Shell Smash Sweep, but not necessarily like something you should be like, okay, I can do this. I can Shell Smash Sweep. So Crustle is good. It gives me another Rock Setter, and it gives me Rock Stab, and it gives me Spikes. Does it get Toxic Spikes, however? It does not, but that's fine, because it just gives me another Spikes user. So, Crustle is okay. Like I said, Shell Smash, it's always good, but it's here for hazards, basically. And, yeah, so it gets knockoff, which is nice, and sturdy, and shell armor, and weak armor. So, and it's got pretty good. It only resists 2 things, but it's only weak to 3 things, so that's nice. That's good. So yeah, it should have been Armaldo, ended up Crustle. I'm not upset about it too. And finally, the last pick is a pick from Season 1 that lasted like 2 weeks, but I have faith it'll work, is Musharna. Musharna's HP pool is ridiculous. It gets decent bulk and has very good special attack. The biggest flaw of this mon is, as you'll see, it does not get Wish. That's what keeps this thing from being a little bit higher. I think it'd be RU easily if it got Wish, but just because of its HP pool and its offensive capabilities, this thing's very good. Defensive mon, Psychic's obviously not the best defensive type. Only resists 2 things, weak to 3 things. 2 very good offensive types, and the U-turn's pretty common. But the big thing about me drafting Musharna was it gave me another mon that had access to statuses. Also, it gave me a Trick Room user, and it gave me a Heal Bell user. So those are all pretty important for me to have some variation of, and it worked out for me in the end. So Musharna was a nice pickup at the very end of the draft, and I planned, now that I'm experienced and better, I plan to do better with it. So that is a quick-ish, I think it was about 20 minutes maybe, rundown of the Kentucky Crobats team. It is almost exactly 20 minutes. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Please leave your criticisms below. Like I said, the only flaw I have in this draft, because I didn't get sniped once. I sniped Cap and FTSS, I think, with Victini, and I sniped a few people with Blastoise, but I don't think I sniped anyone either, except for maybe Thunderous. Oh no, I sniped Patrick Hard with Garchomp. He had to take Dragonite. But he passed on Garchomp, and it fell to me 2 picks later. So yeah, but leave your criticisms below. My only criticism is Crustle versus Armaldo, but I'm fine with Crustle too. And yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and favorite, and I will see you all next time.